kol hakavod with the answer you gave the 12 year. I mean, when you told me how you answered her, it was like, how did you come up with that? It's absolutely incredible. I have a big dilemma about, I want to go back to Shabbat. I am nowhere close to keeping the Shabbat the correct way, but since I know I am not capable of that yet, I promised myself that I will take step by step, baby steps. So far what I do is I don't go on the phone. I don't answer phone calls, which gives me a lot of free time. I'm not on the phone, my ear is resting. It's a big, big difference in my life. I don't light any fires. I don't cook. But the free time, the brain goes in places it's not supposed to go. I usually during the day keep myself very, very busy. I'm a busybody. I don't sit idle. So I don't have a lot of time for that. Why is it that on Shabbat it becomes so active and not good thoughts? It's all bad. What's going on? Help me with that, please.
Not your problem? Not your problem?
I have my answers,
Go
but
ahead.
they're not going to be anything compared to yours.
It'll probably be more practical. So.
I mean, this was part of what we discussed in our promo video, where I believe, we know that Shabbat, during Shabbat, we're given an extra soul, an extra holy soul for those 24 hours. What I have seen is that this is a very common thing where that extra soul comes in, our human conception of that soul or relationship with that soul moves into a place of wanting to create. We are given a little bit extra drive, we're given a little bit extra premonition, intuition, motivation, and rather than having the discipline to drive that into a place of holiness, because that's not our practice, we are seeking to drive that into a place of productivity, which is what most people in modern day seek to achieve. We want to sort of get our dopamine receptors going, because we don't have the practice of daily holiness. Whereas I think that if you practice Shabbat correctly, it is not a day, it's not on that day. It is a practice that begins on the first day of the week where you're prepping for Shabbat. You are practicing 3 times a day, meditative, holy practices that are in Judaism not sitting in meditation, but actual active praying. All of these things, all of the preparations for Shabbat prep you so that once you get to Shabbat, you are enjoying the fruits of Shabbat. But if you're not prepping for Shabbat all week and you're not engaged in any kind of spiritual activity all week, then when you get to Shabbat, there is a conflict. The way that I explain it is that there's a conflict between that excess holy soul, that excess holiness, and that part of you that still seeks to be served through your productivity, that ego satiation that you get every time you produce, every time you get on the phone and you get that, you help somebody or you do something that gives you that ego satiation. You're not doing any of that. You're not producing, you're not creating. And so there's a conflict, and that conflict rises on Shabbats. But if you had the daily practice, and you did Shabbat correctly, That's my cue to turn it over to the rabbi. Thank you, my love.
The feeling of Shabbat, the experience of Shabbat, in one word, is contentment. Mapsut. On Shabbos, you're supposed to feel content. Whatever you did during the week, it was good. If you read in the Torah, in the description of creation, God created light, and he said it was good. On the third day, he created trees, and he said it was good. And each day, he said it was good. Because by the time you get to Shabbos, it's perfect. So you don't do any labor on Shabbat, because you don't need it. It's good. Now, contentment is a foreign experience. We never practice contentment. In fact, if you feel content, you feel guilty. You're sitting around doing nothing. That's a terribly masculine impulse. The male impulse is to constantly be creating and changing and fixing. And the female is much better at contentment. Somebody once said, you see it in the language. A man and a woman get married. The woman calls all her friends. Guess what? I'm married. The man calls all his friends and says, guess what? I got married. Men don't understand women because you're content and they can't figure out why. Women have a capacity to be content, which is why they're good nurturers. Because if you're not content, then you're preoccupied, you can't nurture others. To really be present with a baby, no man can do that. He's holding the baby and it's delicious and it's wonderful and he's thinking, how am I going to pay for the college? And the baby feels the stress and starts to cry. Yeah, how are you going to pay for the college? So Shabbos is the practice of contentment, and it'll take some practice. But this is what you're looking for. You're looking for that relief, that deep breath where you can just let go. It's good. You think about your grandparents. Their week was misery. Miserable. How did they survive that life? Shabbat. Because when Shabbat came, they were king and queen. Content, life is wonderful. We have a piece of bread with a piece of herring. We're top of the world. During the week, they worked hard to change or fix whatever they could. But when it comes to Shabbat, I got no needs. I'm fine. It's wonderful. Life is great. You practice it, you get good at it. And then Shabbos.
Myself, I'm content, which I feel I am. Baruch Hashem.
Well, then you don't need to run around to do something, right?
What am I going to do with this?
Right. So the advice is you learn to do Shabbos stuff. You read, you learn, sleep a little more, but feel the contentment. Otherwise, you're driven. We're trained to be driven. Don't waste time. Be productive. What are you doing? During the week, that's great. On Shabbat, if God can relax on Shabbat, we should be able to do it too, because it's not my world. I don't have to worry about everything.